Welcome to Part 4, Texturing, Rigging, and Final Render. In this final part, we'll take a finished model and bring it to life. We'll start by exporting the model as an FBX and moving it into Substance Painter to build our textures and surface detail. Once that's done, we'll bring those textures back into Maya and connect everything properly using Arnold shaders. From there, we'll export the character again and send it to Mixamo for rigging. We'll generate a running animation, bring it back into Maya, and reconnect our textures. Finally, we'll set up a clean render in Arnold and output the final shot. Okay, so let's get started. So what I've done here, the body and face all in one mesh, and then the discs, and then of course the eyebrows. Each of them have their own shading network because I'm going to texture them separately. And I'll show you how I've textured each one of them, but I'm going to go into detail more of how I textured the body. So the first thing I want to do is I want to duplicate the model and subdivide it. So I'm just going to duplicate the group and subdivide it. And then I'm going to export the model as an FBX. So I'm just going to select the body and export the body as an FBX. As you can see, my shading network here is called Copper Kid Surface, and it's going to come up with that same name in Substance Painter. Next, I open up Substance Painter, and I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to import the 3D mesh, find it where I saved it, and then import it. Next, I'm just going to show you here, this is the shading network for our model, Copper Kid, so you can change the shading network name over here. And the first thing I want to do when I bring in my model is I want to bake the mesh maps in, and that way I can utilize Substance Painter to its max. So after I've got those maps, I'm ready to go and I can use smart materials. But first what I want to do is I want to create some folders. I'm going to make a folder for the face, a folder for the body, and a folder for the left hand, mostly because each part is much different than the other, so I want to separate those right away. The first thing though, I want to grab the body. I'm just going to write in copper and find a copper texture and throw it on the body here. And you can see it looks pretty good. It's a worn copper texture that comes packaged with Substance Painter. And what I want to do here is I want to create a mask, and then I'm going to select the UV shells here that I want masked out. So I'm just selecting the shells here. I'm just doing it right on the model. Next, I'm going to drop in a fill on my face, and I'm just going to bring in these channels, the color, the metal, the rough, the normal. I don't want to use the height for this. And I'm just going to set a near white color on the face and just leave everything else the way they are for now. I'm also going to create a mask on the face. Okay, so it's selected. Now this folder is going to only show the face. So I'm going to duplicate this fill and bring it over to the left hand folder, and I'll have to make a new mask for that, and then select what I want to use for this folder, which is the left hand and this little bit of armor here that I want to make bluish. Next, let's work on the face. I'm just going to turn symmetry on, and I'm going to grab a paint layer here and look at my reference. What I want to do first is do the nose, so I want to get the proper color for the nose. I'm just going to turn off all of these other channels and select the color for my reference. Good. And I'm just going to paint it in now with my brush. I'm just going to use the regular brush here, just turn the size down. And paint it in. Okay, whoops. I'm going to have to delete that. I'm just going to erase it. I like to separate each color and material into different layers. So the nose will just be the nose here. This blue color on his forehead and some of his ears, I'll make a separate paint layer here and turn off these channels, and now I'll select the proper color. First, let's throw these into the right folder here and select the blue. Good. Let's make it a little brighter here. It's a little dull. But it's the same hue as blue as the reference, which is, I think, very important. And I'm just painting this blue on here. Just going to bring down the opacity and fade this blue out here so it's not so sharp. And paint the rest of the blue in here. I'm missing some spots. Okay, I'm just going to change the name here and duplicate it, make it black. And I'm just going to draw in the line here, this Joker face kind of line that he has. If you hold down Shift, you can get a perfect line. You just have to click once and then hold down Shift and it'll make a perfect line for you. And I'm just going to delete around here just to clean it up. Okay, that looks good. Next, I'm going to just outline a little bit of his mouth. So I'm just going to hold down Shift and grab a straight line here. I'll do the same thing to the bottom lip. Okay. Next, let's go to the left hand and work on that. I'm just going to bring in some light blue again and paint it on. Great. So here we can just select the channel here we want to look at and make sure we like each channel. That was the color channel, is the metallic. Here's the roughness. I'd like to change some of the roughness here to match the body a little bit. But this is how you look at each channel to see what's going on with your model. I find it very helpful. But let's go to the roughness channel and find something similar. I'm just going to type in grunge and look for a kind of dirty grunge texture, and I'm going to throw it on the roughness channel. I'm just going to change this to triplanar projection. And tweak this balance. And then I'll probably have to create a levels on this. I'm just going to create a levels on this layer and change the brightness and the white and blacks just to match it more. Okay. Let's move to the metallic now and see what's going on here. And I think part of the arm here needs a metallic, but not the hand. So I'm just going to grab a metallic and throw it kind of a roughened up metallic and throw it in the metallic channel. Good. Next, let's bring in some pores and bumps on the skin. So what I'm doing here is I just brought in a smart texture called skin, human skin, but I'm just going to use part of the smart texture. Change the skin color to white, and now I'm just going to use this nice kind of porous texture. But I don't want the height, I just want the normal. I'm just going to duplicate this and put it on the left hand so we both have it on the face and the hand. Turn off symmetry because I don't want it on the other hand. And I'm just going to mask out the skin here so it's just on the hand and not on that wrist area where it's metallic. Okay, let's export these textures now. I think this is looking really good. And the first thing I want to make sure is that it's exporting the correct preset, which is just the document channels. Okay. And then I'm going to come to the output maps, and I don't want the normal and I don't want the height, but I do want the normal OpenGL because that's what Maya uses. Let's jump into Maya now. And the first thing I need to do is make sure the Substance plugin is installed. So I'm going to go to the plugin manager and look for Substance and make sure it's all checked, and then it should appear in the top menu here. I like to open up my Hypershade and clear it, and then I go to the Substance menu and go to Apply Workflow to Maps, and I go and find where I exported my maps, select them all, and put them in the correct folders here. I then import, and sometimes it doesn't connect the color, so I'm just going to reconnect the color here and rename it. Perfect. And then I'll just connect the body to the shading network now. Good. So I'm going to do that. I already pre-textured everything else. No need to show you how I did it, but I did it mostly in a very similar way as the body. So let's render this out. I just hit Arnold rendered view and just hit render. I've got a sky dome hooked up with an HDRI image for my lighting. I've got a ground plane set up, and I'm just going to add a texture, this shadow matte, Arnold shadow matte texture, and that makes it pick up the shadows. Let me show you the eye. I didn't, need much detail because it looks kind of robotic. It's a robotic kind of cartoon character, so it's just a sphere, and then I put on the eye preset, the Substance eye preset that you can find in the Substance library. The discs, I just put that same copper material on it, that worn copper material, and then export it. Back in Maya here, I rehooked up the textures, and now I'm ready to go. So I'm just gonna save this as Mixamo export, because now I'm going to export this model so I can rig it in Mixamo. I want to see it animate now with the textures. So I'm just exporting an FBX of the body. and I'm importing it back into Mixamo now. Here it is, and it's perfect. I'm just going to put these place markers into their correct position. And press next. It'll hook it up here. It'll auto rig it, and we are ready to go. So this is good. The first thing I do is I find the T-pose and export the T-pose so I have a T-pose. And then I'm going to just find a running animation here. Let's look at some. Here's a dancing one. There's really some amazing things on Mixamo just to see what your model will do and how the modeling is holding up. So this is a good running animation. Let's go with this. I'm just going to download it. It's going to use these download settings. And then now I have an FBX. So first I'm just going to resave this now as Mixamo import. And I'm going to delete the model and import that FBX. Here's the running animation. So now I just have to reconnect the textures. But you can see that it's working. I'm going to open up the time editor here and just add the content, the Mixamo animation, as a animation clip, and then I can duplicate this animation clip and make a loop. So the time editor is very effective too. If you want to use multiple Mixamo animations and use them together, this is a fantastic tool. I'm just going to make these joints a bit smaller. They were a bit big. And let's just rehook up the textures here. And the eyes. Great, let's render this. I'm just going to open up the Arnold render view. Let's look at it. And it's working. Let's close this down. Okay, let's look at the Arnold render settings here. I'm going to switch it to PNG. I'm going to make a file name here so when it exports the PNG sequence, it has this proper name, and I'm going to change the frame animation extension. And I just want 90 frames here, so I'm going to change it to 90. In terms of sampling, I'm just going to make it 4 samples, and I'm going to change the ray depth. And I just want an image size of 2K. A 2K square is fine. And my renderer is the CPU. Okay, perfect. Let's go to rendering mode and go to render sequence. Let's find where we're going to put this image sequence. I usually put it in the images folder. I'm just going to make a new folder here called run and select it, and then render the sequence. Okay, great guys. Thanks for watching part 4, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.